Dear Diary, all I ever wanted was to be good at something. To be around people who also liked that something. And when I found the Demon Realm, I thought, wow, I found it. I can learn magic. I can be a witch. I won't be the dummy in the principal's office anymore.
If there was one show that I followed the most throughout these past 2 years, it's The Owl House. It's not really a secret to anyone who follows my channel, but I'm an avid watcher of animated shows. I made videos on Amphibia and Steven Universe, but never one for The Owl House. If you want a reason for why, it's because I thought there were already enough people talking about the show as is, and I didn't really know what else I could add. But with the release of the first of 3 special episodes to act as a season 3, I think now's a good time. For the record, I'm not going to spend any time talking about how unfortunate it is that we couldn't get a full season, or about how much Disney sucks. That's not what I want to do with this video. I want this to be a love letter to one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. There are other shows I love about as much, like Gravity Falls and Amphibia, but The Owl House has been a unique sort of comfort for me. I began watching during the summer of 2020. It was peak pandemic era and the quarantine life became my normal life. It was right before the Grom episode happened and boosted the show's popularity like crazy. Even before that, I was an avid watcher. While a lot of season 1 wasn't as exciting as what was to come, it was still so much fun getting lost in this world. Fantasy worlds full of magic and demons are nothing new, but the Owl House knows that and simply creates its own version of it. The rules of magic are easy to follow, and a lot about it is just a whimsical version of our own reality. Even with how corrupt it is, Bellows and the common system he created for this world are the main evil of this story for most of it. Symbols of authority that chain down people being able to express themselves, and a twisted old man believing all that he doesn't understand must be purged, have never hit so close to home as threats that are the antithesis of what this show is about. The Owl House is not afraid to take jabs at capitalism, or express how anti-authority its characters are. This is, again, nothing new to fictional stories, but it's executed in such an earnest manner that it can't help but be admired and appreciated. The same goes for its LGBTQ+ representation. This show has gone above and beyond what many other Disney shows have been able to do with this topic. A number of times in shows, a ship will happen right at the end of it, but one of the Owl House's focuses throughout the whole thing is the relationship between Luz and Amity. Even just as couples in general in animated shows, I can't remember the last time I found one as endearing as this. Time was taken to develop it, and once they become a thing, it feels completely earned. Even afterwards, we get shown a very healthy relationship, with unnecessary drama basically being non-existent. When there's an issue, they'll talk it out soon after. Nothing feels forced. Lumini ends up being a focus for a good number of episodes in season 2, and you know what? Good. This goes beyond just being a cute ship in the show. Queer kids and teens watch this show. People can see themselves in this, and understand that these feelings they have are not strange, they're real and deserving of acceptance. Luz coming out to her mom with bisexual flags in your face is everything. The number of non-binary characters in this show is everything. The little blushes and acknowledgement of gay attraction are everything. Representation means everything. It all brings a smile to my face, just as much as the characters of this show. Watching thanks to them reminded me of how much these characters mean to me. I'll talk about characters like Eda and King when the next episodes happen, but I want to focus on the ones in this episode for now. Luz was the most fascinating character in this special. It's here where it truly sinks in how much she's changed since the beginning of the show. The wide-eyed and innocent kid from season 1 who was looking for adventure and thrills has since become a kid with lingering guilt and is torn up from all that has happened to her, with very notable moments of depression leaking out. With a character like Anne in Amphibia, she matured and grew more responsible, but there was never really much acknowledgement of all the traumatic experiences she went through. Luz matures in a similar way, but they don't shy away from how horrible it was getting there. I know people like to meme about it, but the fact that she's changed so much from when she entered the Boiling Isles is sad in its own way. Her standard expression has her eyes less opened compared to how bright and cheery she was before. She looks way more mellow as a result, which hits too close to home. It's honestly pretty relatable because becoming an adult these past 2 years has been quite the experience to say the least, and I see a bit of myself in Luz as a result. Also, I appreciate Luz's new hair for being more curly compared to how straight it was before, and the same goes for her mom. So much about Luz and her mom get recontextualized in this episode. Remember how throughout the whole show she keeps talking about Azura and her general love of fiction and fantasy? That all stems from the loss of her father, as he's the one who gave her the book, essentially sparking Luz's character as we know today. I didn't think too much about when Luz talked about her father in season 2, despite in retrospect it being a really touching moment, but learning this information adds so much to Luz as a protagonist. Her reasons for wanting to stay in the demon realm at the beginning of the show is not a situation of black and white. It was reckless to do something like that and ultimately end up stuck there, but she's just a kid. She makes mistakes, she feels guilt that lingers, she wishes for the best only to see things ultimately crumble before her eyes. She wanted to be someone special when the rest of the world saw her as nothing but a weirdo kid that tried too hard to stand out. It's such a tangible and understandable feeling for a 14-year-old. Heck, even when I was 16 first watching the show, I kinda wish I also ended up in a world like this. Seeing Luz believe in this fantasy that she wants to live out all throughout the first season, having her personality be shaped by her interests and desires of escapism, it all perfectly makes sense now. It's fantastic character writing, and I love and relate to Luz as a character even more than I did before. And what about her mom, Camila Noceda, a parent character that I already thought was written great. Yesterday's Lie was a favorite episode of mine because their last conversation together was so heartbreaking and interesting to think about. There are clear tears the two had as mother and daughter, and that family gets explored more here. The way she is so immediately loving of all the kids and is willing to take care of them as her own is so touching. She doesn't have it all figured out, but she's given it all she's got, reading and educating herself on how to be a better parent, figuring out accommodations for the kids that are getting used to a new world. It makes her such a lovely mother that many can gravitate to. She's also had her own struggles that make her a tragic figure as well. We learn the reason she even decided to send Luz to that summer camp was because for so long the world was telling her that her child wasn't normal, quote unquote, and eventually she just gave in to what others decided would be best, because of her own experiences growing up and getting bullied for who she was. You can argue that sending Luz to that camp was not a great thing to do, but it can't be denied that she loves her daughter. She believes in the person she is. It's brief, but it's highlighted how she was also a nerd like Luz, a sci-fi geek to parallel Luz's love of fantasy, which makes it believable that she didn't want her daughter to end up getting bullied the same way she was. Luz's last video log about wanting to make her mom proud by giving it all for a book report that ends up kicking off the events of the show is both sad and brilliant. It perfectly comes full circle and makes you rethink a lot about the early episodes. I always adore when a story can do this. To see earlier parts in a completely different light once more becomes revealed, and to appreciate how much effort went into planning this whole story. One of my favorite parts about the end of season 2 was how Luz, Amity, Willow, Gus, and Hunter became a proper team, and I looked forward to seeing them be a group of friends. This episode makes the most of the time given through montages and really cute photos. They stuff a lot of fun details all throughout, and I can only imagine the amount of fanfics and fluff content that will be made about them in the human realm. I'm getting more content of V as well. I love her design so much, and she's such a cute character. I'd kill to see more of her, please. It's amazing how far Amity has come as a character, not even just with becoming a better person and forming a relationship with Luz, but with her forming a friendship with Willow and rejecting her horrible mother. Willow and Gus as well have both grown and gained more confidence all throughout. These two have been great friends to Luz, but more interestingly for me, they've been a great influence on Hunter. Hunter is in my top 3 characters of this show. Maybe it's just Zeno Robinson's performance as this character, but ever since he was introduced, I've gravitated a lot to him and his arc. He had a redemption arc similar to Amity in season 1, but Hunter's was way more extreme. They both tried desperately to prove themselves to their guardians, but for Hunter, it was a new level of suffocating. He's a good person at heart, but he was raised to believe what he did was for the greater good. To make him change would be to make him know his whole life had been a lie, and that's what happened. He had his entire world shattered and utterly traumatized by Belos, who wanted him dead just like all the clones before him once he knew the truth. Being part of the Emperor's Coven was all he knew, a life he never questioned, but in season 2, he learned there was more to life than just that. When he lost everything as the Golden Guard, Gus and Willow both became friends he could trust, and the group as a whole became somewhere he could be loved. Being in the human realm has made him happier than any other character, because he's free of being the Golden Guard and can be whatever he wants here. That moment where Luz says that he's family, causing him to tear up under his mask from those words alone, because he's never felt so safe and loved before. Oh, that hit me right in the heart, I'm gonna be real. I never realized I need a scene like that so much, oh my goodness. The emotional maturity this show holds is one of its greatest strengths. The magic is neat and the animation could be amazing at points, but the main reason I love the Owl House is because of how beautifully it writes its characters, and the scenes that are created from that. It doesn't feel like it's trying to get a basic moral out of each episode. It lets themes and topics simmer in your head for as long as they need to, and showcases really healthy relationships. Characters will help each other out through panic attacks, emotionally confide in each other, work out issues verbally, be open and honest when it matters most. These characters more often than not are written to be empathetic and supportive of each other through thick and thin, all in a way that feels grounded and full of dimensions. So many kids and teens love these characters because we know for a fact that they would be legitimately lovely friends, and when you've reached that point, that's how you know you've got some special characters. Some may see the Owl House as just another isekai show, but to me, it uses that kind of premise to tell a coming-of-age tale that I'm sure I say close to many. I know there's as many of those as there are isekai, but the Owl House puts so much heart and soul into telling the story that it feels like you're experiencing it for the first time all over again. The Owl House has given me so many memories that will stick with me well after the show is done. The Owl House gave me something to look forward to, even in the bleakest of times. The Owl House makes me happy. Well, that seems like a good place to call it for this video. If you like what I do, subscribing would be pretty cool, I guess. I'll probably follow up on this video in some way once the new episodes come out, so you can look forward to that, I guess. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.